In the heart of the old town stood a library, a grand structure of stone and wood that had weathered centuries. The library was known for its vast collection of ancient tomes and rare manuscripts, drawing scholars and curious minds from all around. But the townsfolk whispered about something else, a darker, more sinister side to the library that only a few dared to speak of. Mia had just moved to town to take up the position of head librarian. She was thrilled at the opportunity, eager to dive into the dusty archives and uncover the secrets of the past. The building was magnificent, with towering shelves that seemed to touch the ceiling and winding staircases that led to forgotten corners. But from the moment Mia stepped into the library, she felt something was off. The air was thick, heavy with the scent of old books and something else she couldn't quite place. At night, when she was alone, she thought she heard whispers, soft, barely audible, coming from between the shelves. One evening, as Mia was closing up, she noticed a book lying on one of the tables. It was old, its leather cover cracked and faded. There was no title, and when she opened it, the pages were blank except for the first one. Scrawled in faded ink were the words, "Do not read this book aloud." Intrigued, Mia flipped through the pages, but found nothing else. She set the book aside, intending to catalog it the next day, but as she left the library, she couldn't shake the feeling that the book was watching her. That night, Mia dreamt of the library. In her dream, she stood in the center of the main hall, surrounded by the towering shelves. The book was in her hands, and the whispers grew louder, more insistent. "Read," they urged, "read us." Determined to learn more about the strange book, Mia began researching the library's history. She discovered that the building had once been a monastery, a place where monks had devoted their lives to the study of forbidden texts. The monks were rumored to have dabbled in the occult, using their knowledge to summon dark forces. Mia found an old journal belonging to one of the monks. It detailed their experiments and the creation of a special book that was said to contain the names of ancient spirits, capable of bringing great power to those who could control them. The journal ended abruptly with a warning: the spirits are not to be trifled with. They demand a price, and that price is too great for any man to bear. The more Mia learned, the more the whispers in the library intensified. They seemed to follow her home, echoing in her mind even as she tried to sleep. One night, she awoke to find her bedroom cold, the air thick with the scent of old paper and something rotten. Standing at the foot of her bed was a shadowy figure, tall and thin, with eyes that glowed like embers. It said nothing, but its presence was overwhelming, filling Mia with a terror she had never known. As she stared at it, she realized it was holding the book, the very same one she had found in the library. The figure extended the book toward her, and in a voice that was both a whisper and a roar, it commanded, "Read." Mia refused to read the book, but the figure did not disappear. It haunted her every night, growing more insistent, more menacing. The whispers in the library became deafening, and the once beautiful building now felt like a prison. Desperate for answers, Mia sought out the oldest resident in town, Mrs. Thompson, who had lived in Willowbrook all her life. Mrs. Thompson confirmed Mia's fears. The library was cursed, and the book was the source of that curse. The monks had bound powerful spirits within its pages, but they had lost control, and the spirits had turned on them. "There's only one way to end this," Mrs. Thompson said. "You must read the first name in the book aloud, and then burn it. But be warned, the spirit will not go quietly." With no other choice, Mia returned to the library that night, the cursed book in hand. She could feel the presence of the spirits, watching her, waiting. The whispers grew louder as she approached the fireplace in the main hall, where she planned to destroy the book. Taking a deep breath, Mia opened the book to the first page. The name was there, written in an ancient script she could barely decipher. As she spoke the name aloud, the room grew icy cold, and the shadows deepened. Suddenly, the air around her seemed to ripple, and the spirit was unleashed. It roared, its voice shaking the walls of the library, and the ground beneath Mia's feet trembled. She threw the book into the fire, but the flames sputtered and died, as if the spirit was fighting back. The spirit did not leave. Instead, it grew stronger, feeding off Mia's fear. The library was no longer a place of knowledge and peace. It had become a realm of nightmares. The whispers became screams, and the shadowy figure that had haunted Mia's nights now followed her everywhere, a constant reminder of the curse she had unwittingly unleashed. Books flew off the shelves, doors slammed shut on their own, and the very walls of the library seemed to pulse with a malevolent energy. Mia was trapped, caught in a web of darkness that she couldn't escape. She tried to leave the town, but every time she crossed the city limits, she found herself back at the library, as if the spirits had bound her to the building. Exhausted and terrified, Mia realized she needed to find a way to banish the spirit once and for all. She returned to Mrs. Thompson, who told her of an ancient ritual that could bind the spirit back to the book, but it was risky if she failed. The spirit would consume her soul. The ritual required a piece of the spirit's original binding, a scrap of parchment from the monk's journal. Mia returned to the library, searching frantically through the archives until she found it, hidden within the pages of a forgotten book. With the parchment in hand, Mia prepared for the ritual, knowing that this was her last chance. She gathered the necessary items: a candle, a circle of salt, and the cursed book, now charred but still intact. As midnight approached, Mia stood in the center of the library's main hall, the items for the ritual laid out before her. She lit the candle and drew a circle of salt around her, placing the cursed book in the center. Reading from the ancient parchment, Mia began the incantation. The air grew thick with energy, and the room darkened as the spirit's presence intensified. The shadowy figure appeared, its eyes glowing with rage as it realized what Mia was trying to do. It lashed out, sending books and furniture flying across the room, but Mia held her ground, continuing the incantation. The spirit screamed, a sound so terrible it shook the very foundation of the library. With one final word, Mia completed the ritual, and the spirit was sucked back into the book, the shadowy figure dissolving into nothingness. The library was silent once more, the malevolent energy dissipating as the spirit was bound back into the book. Mia collapsed to the floor, exhausted but relieved. The whispers were gone, and the oppressive darkness that had haunted the library had lifted. But as Mia looked at the book, she realized that the battle was not over. The book still held the names of many other spirits, each one as dangerous as the last. The ritual had only bound the spirit temporarily; it would not stay trapped forever. Mia knew she had to find a way to permanently destroy the book, but for now, she was content to have survived the night. She locked the book in a safe, vowing to keep it hidden until she could find a way to end the curse for good. Days turned into weeks, and the library slowly returned to normal. Mia continued her research, determined to find a way to destroy the cursed book once and for all. She delved deeper into the monastery's history, uncovering long-forgotten rituals and ancient spells. One day, she stumbled upon a hidden room in the library's basement, filled with old tomes and scrolls. Among them, she found a manuscript written by the monk who had created the cursed book. It detailed a final ritual, a way to destroy the book and free the spirits trapped within. But the ritual was dangerous, requiring a great sacrifice. Mia knew that if she attempted it, she might not survive, but she also knew that the curse had to end. On the night of the new moon, Mia prepared for the final ritual. She gathered the necessary items, including the cursed book, and descended into the hidden room. The air was thick with tension, the walls seeming to close in around her as she began the incantation. As she spoke the ancient words, the book began to tremble, the spirits within fighting to escape. The room filled with a blinding light, and Mia felt a surge of energy as the spirits were released, their screams echoing through the library. But Mia didn't stop. She continued the incantation, knowing that the only way to destroy the book was to bind the spirits to herself. As the final words left her lips, the spirits rushed into her, filling her with their power and their rage. Mia collapsed, the book crumbling to dust beside her. The library was silent once more, the curse finally lifted. But Mia knew that she had paid a great price. She could feel the spirits within her, a constant presence that would never leave. She had destroyed the book, but in doing so, she had become the new vessel for the spirits. The library was safe, but Mia's battle was far from over. She would carry the curse with her for the rest of her life, always fighting to keep the spirits at bay. And so, the library remained, a place of knowledge and mystery, its darkest secret buried deep within the heart of its librarian.